Number 9. Manuel bought 9 pounds of apples. He has eaten 3/4 of a pound so far and has $15 worth of apples left. Write and solve an equation to find the cost of the apples per pound to the nearest dollar. How much did the apples cost per pound? So we're trying to find the cost per pound of the apples. So that is going to be our X. The cost is going to be our X. So cost is equal to X. So when you go to the grocery store and you buy 9 pounds of apples, you have to pay a price for those 9 pounds. And then when you eat apples, they disappear. So in terms of operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, when you eat something, that is a subtraction. So eats means subtract. And then has is one of those words that means equals. Has $15 worth of apples left. So we need to write and solve an equation to find the cost of the apples per pound to the nearest dollar. Now this indicates to me that I'm probably going to get, if not an irrational number, a repeating decimal, maybe I'm going to get some cents, but they're going to want me to round to the nearest whole dollar when I get my answer. So I need to take the cost of those 9 pounds of apples. So I'm going to take the number of pounds times the cost. And then remember, Manuel ate a certain amount of those apples. So I'm going to be subtracting 3/4 of whatever the cost of those apples were, because I am being given what is left in terms of the money. So I have to consider the money value, the cost for each of these amounts, because I need to have my answer in money. So here I only have one denominator. I have a 4. So to not have to deal with denominators, I can multiply each term by 4, and this would be plus a minus. Or dealing with one fraction is not that difficult if I remember that this is 9 wholes and I am going to be subtracting 3/4 from those 9 wholes. So I'll just go ahead and do that because I can do that pretty well mentally. If I have 9 wholes and I take away 3/4, I'm going to be left with 8 1/4 wholes, and that's times my cost. So that this is the number of pounds that I have now that I've eaten that, and I have to take it times the cost, and that should be equal to $15. So to solve this just with using fractions, I can change this to a mixed number. So that's going to be 33/4 X is equal to $15. And then what I can do is I can multiply by the reciprocal to get this to 1, but that's going to put me with a denominator of 33 over here. So I really think I want to get rid of this denominator, and I'm just going to do that right now. I'm just going to multiply both sides by 4 over 1, because that just makes it a little simpler. So I'm going to divide my 4 by 4, and I'm just left with 33x. And I'm going to multiply 15 times 4, and that's going to give me 60. So after I get to that point, I'm going to divide both sides by 33, and I'm going to get that x is equal to 60 divided by 33, which is equal to, oh yeah, here we go, repeating decimal. So this is approximately equal to $1.81 repeating, except we don't represent money that way. So they asked me to round to the nearest whole number. So rounding to the nearest whole number, I would get $2. So how much did the apples cost per pound? The apples cost $2 per 1 pound, approximately, because of the rounding. Number 10. Remember, if you're doing multiple problems on one page going across, don't put more than 2 problems side by side. Number 10. 3/4 h minus 12 equals 8 5/8. So this is, excuse me, plus a negative. And again, I'm just going to choose to not have the fractions there. This is 64 plus 5, 69/8. So when I look at my denominators, I can see that 8 would be my least common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by 8 over 1. I'm going to multiply my negative 12 times 8 over 1. And I'm going to multiply this by 8 over 1. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 8 is 2. This I don't have to cancel. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So I'm left with 2 times 3h, which is 6h, plus negative 12 times 8 is going to be negative 96, and that's going to be equal to 69. So I'm going to add a positive 96 to each side, and that's going to give me 165 is equal to 6h. And now that I have all my variables on the left-hand side and my numbers on the right, this is a multiplication, so I'm going to divide each side by 6. And I'm going to get that I have 2, and this is 6 times 7 is 42, and that's going to be 27 5/10. Number 11. Timothy bought concrete for several projects. He used 3 5/10 bags of concrete mix for a new set of stairs, and he used 2 2500 bags of concrete mix for a garden wall. Timothy mixed 345 pounds of concrete in all. write an equation that can be represented by the bar diagram. So here's the bar diagram. This means that when you take these two parts of this bar and join them together, they should equal this quantity. So our equation is going to be 3 5/10 y plus 2 25/100 y equals 345. That's going to be part A. Write an equation that can be represented by the bar diagram. Here we go. And part B, solve for y. How many pounds of concrete does each bag make? So when I combine like terms, my like terms are the y's. So 3 5/10 y plus 2 25/100 y is going to give me 5 75/100 y is equal to 345. This is a multiplication problem, so I'm going to, that's a decimal point, divide each side by 5 75/100. And I will get 60. So how many pounds of concrete does each bag make? It makes 60 pounds of concrete.